The air in Inoue's secluded training compound hangs thick with the scent of sweat and ambition, each drop falling from the champion's brow, carrying the weight of impending combat. What unfolds behind these closed doors isn't mere preparation. It's the forging of a weapon so precise it could only exist at the intersection of natural genius and obsessive dedication. The latest footage reveals a fighter who has somehow impossibly elevated his game beyond its already terrifying peak. His mitt-work now resembling a deadly ballet, where every pirouette ends with a concussive exclamation point. His trainer's pads pop with the rhythmic consistency of gunfire, each combination flowing into the next with such seamless brutality that the distinction between offense and defense disappears entirely, creating a fighting style that exists in some rarefied space between art and assault. Music. The body shot drills unfolding in the corner of the gym could double as scenes from some ancient gladiatorial ritual, where pain is not just endured but courted like an old friend. Massive, heavyweight sparring partners, their muscles glistening with sweat under the harsh training lights, take turns, driving fists into ribs with enough force to make spectators wheeze involuntarily. Yet, the champion stands firm as a cliff against the ocean's fury. His abdominal muscles contract with such density upon impact that the sound changes from the normal thud of flesh meeting flesh to something sharper, more metallic, like a hammer striking an anvil. The most disturbing aspect isn't his ability to take these shots, though that alone would be remarkable, but what happens immediately after the way his hands instinctively find perfect punching position even as the blows land, his body already preparing to counter before the pain signals have finished traveling to his brain. It's as if his nervous system has been rewired to treat punishment as nothing more than an invitation to return fire with greater fury, creating a feedback loop of violence that would break lesser men, both physically and psychologically. Sparring sessions have evolved into something closer to psychological warfare than traditional preparation. Music, with world-class fighters leaving the ring looking like men who've stared into the abyss and found it staring back. Partners report the unsettling sensation that Inoue isn't just reacting to their moves, but anticipating them several steps ahead. His counters arriving before they've fully committed to their attacks, creating a horrifying dissonance between intention and reality. The rounds unfold with a nightmarish inevitability. Early, confidence giving way to frustration, then to something resembling panic, as Inoue's punches begin arriving from angles that violate the normal laws of boxing physics. His footwork, always exceptional, has reached new levels of precision, allowing him to cut off the ring while appearing to float across the canvas. His weight distributed so perfectly he can pivot or strike from any position without telegraphing his intentions. Those brave enough to go multiple rounds describe waking up the next day with muscles they didn't know they had, screaming and protest their bodies, having contorted in ways never before required to avoid punches that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Simultaneously, defensive drills that should be physically impossible unfold with eerie regularity in Inoue's camp, turning the ring into his personal hall of mirrors, where reality bends to his will. Watching him slip punches is like observing a magic trick performed at triple speed. The fist arrives where his head should be, only to meet empty air, while Inoue reappears inches away, already unleashing counters that land with the crisp finality of a judge's gavel. His upper body movement operates on some delayed time signature, always a half beat behind the opponent's rhythm, just enough to make every attack miss by millimeters, while his counters land with centimeter precision. The effect on sparring partners is visibly demoralizing, their punches growing increasingly hesitant as they realize they're not just being outboxed, but psychologically dismantled. Their confidence eroded with each passing minute until they're left questioning fundamental aspects of their own technique. And defense has become so refined and now serves as its own form of offense. Every slip, every roll, every subtle shoulder twitch designed not just to avoid damage, but to position him for increasingly brutal counters that leave opponents caught in an inescapable vortex of their own making. The strength and conditioning regimen powering this phenomenon could light a small city with explosive movements that send heavy bags swinging violently on their chains like pendulums counting down to fight night. Inoue's weighted shadow boxing sessions conducted with dumbbells that would fatigue most fighters within seconds show arms moving with the same terrifying speed as when unencumbered, suggesting that when the weights come off, his hands will move with the unstoppable momentum of runaway trains. His plyometric drills defy the logic of compact fighters, producing vertical leaps that would make Olympic athletes take notice, each landing transitioning seamlessly into punching combinations that demonstrate how every aspect of his training connects like some perfectly engineered Swiss watch of violence. The numbers emerging from his performance metrics tell their own story. Punch output, hand speed, and power measurements have all increased since his last fight, suggesting the monster continues evolving when by all rights he should have plateaued years ago. His reaction times now clock in at 0.088 seconds, nearly triple the speed of normal human reflexes. Music, allowing him to counter punches most fighters wouldn't even see coming until they were already waking up from the canvas. Akhmadaliev's formidable strengths become tragic vulnerabilities when held against the light of Inoue's preparation. The USA's vaunted body attack, meeting its ultimate test against a fighter who appears to have turned his torso into reinforced concrete. The stylistic clash that once seemed competitive now appears horrifically lopsided. Akhmadaliev's aggressive pressure, looking increasingly like a suicide mission against Inoue's elusive counterpunching. The stalker finding himself outmaneuvered at every turn by the surgeon, training